Paul Muller on your right, Sean Mogelgaard on your left. Both players here 9-2, very much in top 8 contention as we make our way through the back end of SCG Louisville. We bring you Modern Action this weekend. Keep in mind, we're bringing a Modern Action next weekend too, partner.
Yeah, that's right.
You and I going to Minneapolis. Get to see Matthias Hunt and Ryan Overturf in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Matthias does one of his disappearing acts again. I've been to Minneapolis where he did not play in the Open. It's just unacceptable.
Ryan will be there.
I know that. Hopefully with a Grixis strategy. We'll see who's going to play first here. Players will be given the green light. And we will start with Paul, who has his Steam Vents to begin. I have to imagine this is a good matchup for Paul.
Especially if you look at the sort of the details of Sean's deck list here. He's got a main deck Timely Reinforcements, a main deck Wrath of God, 2 Teferis, 3 Helix, 2 Electrolyze. Sean is gunning for creatures this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprising to see him at 9-2 because a lot of the best decks right now in the field, the most popular ones, are a bunch of creatures, and a lot of the decks that people are using to metagame against them, like Elves, also full of creatures. But here, he has a lot of air in his deck for game number 1.
Well, he better kill that thing with one of his creature removal spells, or this game is over. There's a Lightning Helix, so he does have an answer. You let Gift Storm untap with 3 mana and Goblin Electromancer, you're as good as toast. So Mogelgaard will lose 3 from searching up the Steam Vents untapped and then gain 3 from the Lightning Helix. So no harm, no foul. So we head back over to Paul. Paul will play an Opt. He's going to stop him now.
Stop.
Yep. We got to stop him because that's a... Yep, he just resolved a slight... He just tried to resolve a sleight in hand. He resolved it like it was a sleight in hand, and he actually opted, so...
Yes.
Yeah, he looked at 2 cards, so this will be an issue here. Yeah, with 2 cards and added 1 card to his hand, so I'm not sure what the fix is here. Well, we will see.
Yeah, he just obviously thought that was a sleight of hand. Made it a little bit more complicated by the fact that, he played it on his own main phase. He wasn't playing an instant speed, and now Paul with the look of someone who just did that. Yeah. That's a good way to break that down.
So
we'll find out momentarily what the consequences of all this will be.
Yeah, I'm surprised this doesn't happen more.
With it just all the cantrips being slightly different and in the same deck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we watch Legacy and someone resolves a Ponder or a Brainstorm or a Preordain.
Yeah, it's not 0%. When I played in Baltimore with Sneak and Show, I definitely, I don't play with those cards all the time, and I definitely had to be extra mindful of making sure that what I was casting was actually what I was casting.
Yeah.
So they all resolve in different ways.
But they're all the same thing.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Exchanging stuff into different stuff.
Yep. This is a thing that does happen on occasion, unfortunately. But you know what? This is a great time to do. It's a great time to do. It's a great time to talk about game night is what it is.
Yep.
This is how you segue. That's what we're going to do. So instead of watching this boring, monotonous conversation, let's talk about game night. Let's talk about all the fun, furry animals we've got coming out in May, June, and July.
Yeah, we got some kits to show you. You can head over to go.srcgames.com/game night, find out more information about game night. Every month, stores sign up for game night. We send out these kits with the pins and tokens, and then they give them out to the players who show up for the weekly game night events. Right now, in May, you're playing for Feline Focus, and then in June, Prehistoric Playtime, and then July, lastly,
we'll be playing with fire.
Playing with fire.
Yes.
Go.starcitygames.com/game night. Find the game night closest to you, and if you're a store and you want to get signed up, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
There you go. Old game night. So, a little air quote strategy. I like that. Air quote's one of my favorite things. I don't know about you.
I like the heavily implied air quotes through tone.
Give me an example. I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Paul made a small mistake. And now we are attempting to resolve it.
Got it. Do you know the Chris Farley character from Saturday Night Live, who's the air quote guy at the weekly update desk?
I don't. I'm not that familiar with Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
I haven't watched a ton of it.
An all-time great character. Done by Chris Farley. Chris Farley had a lot of great characters in Saturday Night Live, truth be told. I'm a Chris Farley guy.
Okay.
I am. Tommy Boy is one of the best movies of our generation. I stand by that. So does our director, apparently.
Haven't watched it.
I hate you. How?
I just I have not watched that many. I would say that I've watched far fewer movies than most.
That's true of me, too. So
that's my answer.
I find time to watch the great ones.
Okay. I haven't watched it.
So what movie... Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You recommend a movie to me that I have to watch.
Have to is too strong a language.
You understand that you recommend I should watch because you enjoy it, and so I will probably enjoy it. And you can't say, "Oh, brother, where art thou?" because that's always your answer. So you have to say something else.
Are you looking for legitimately good or trashy?
That's a weird question.
No, because things can be ironically good or ironically entertaining.
I guess literally good.
All right, let me think about it some.
Something I'm gonna come home from work after a long day later this week. I'm gonna throw it on for however the length of time it is, and then message you afterward and say thanks for the recommendation, man. That was great. That is what I want.
Have you seen Rushmore?
Is that Matthew Broderick?
I don't think so. Bill Murray.
No.
Wes Anderson film. I would
No.
give that.
Is that comedy? Serious? What is it?
Dry comedy. It's the type of thing that I would find funny, I guess. But it is very funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's on the list.
All right.
You just made the list.
Okay.
There you go.
Rushmore. That's my answer.
All right, perfect. You watch Tommy Boy.
All right, I will. I also really
He's
enjoy.
not gonna watch it.
I also really enjoy the Royal Tenenbaums, but I think that one might be too stuffy for you. I think.
What do you mean? What do you mean by stuffing in this instance?
Even drier and in spots kind of glacial in a way that Rushmore really isn't.
Okay.
Rushmore is a pretty fun movie as far as these things go.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
We're still doing this. Can we?
We are still doing this.
Can we?
You want to come back to us?
Can we get some questions from the Jackals?
Oh, sure.
Kill some time.
Sure.
All right. Cool.
Sure. Yeah. Let's bring it back to us. Let's take some questions from the audience. Do you call them jackals? All right. Yeah. We'll take some questions from the. I like to call them the commentariat.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you like to call them the commentariat. I don't want to call them jackals.
Well, whatever.
So this is your opportunity right now, jackals. That's your air quote, by the way. This is your move, 1-2, to ask us questions while we wait for them to resolve that opt/slight in the hand.
This is
split
where
card.
we get into the newish rules where someone just gets arbitrarily duressed a few times until
which
we're close enough to we're getting the game state back to whatever.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Patrick, how did you feel about the Cavs' victory yesterday?
I don't know. I would prefer the series to be competitive. I think it's going to get, if we get to Game 6 and Game 7, it's going to be, I think those games are going to be really amped up.
Okay.
And I think that both the crowds have been excellent so far. So I would like to see the series go deep.
If you had to make a prediction for the basketball game this evening, who do you pick? Who do you think is going to win Game 3 between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors?
I would select the Golden State Warriors, but I'm optimistic Houston has the firepower to keep it close.
Oh, great question here by George. Jackal number 1.
Hi.
What do you think of Teferi?
The Alpha Jackal.
Yeah. What do you think of Teferi versus Jace the Mind Sculptor in modern blue control decks? And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I'll let you do a quick summary.
I think they are similar, but they are somewhat different cards. I think it depends on what kind of reactive stuff you want to be playing with. If you can really leverage the untapped 2 lands to cover Teferi, I think it's maybe worth the extra mana. Jace goes into a wider array of decks because it's just one color. They're similar but different. I think Teferi's a little bit better against lightning bolts. I don't know. It's close.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I have a fun question about the Great Designer Search 3. Have you been keeping track of that?
Very little.
Okay. It's just someone, Ben would like to know your thoughts on it, but it doesn't sound like on the format of the Great Designer Search 3.
Also, still largely unaware. I think I sort of lost interest in it when when they had the color pie test where you had to get 48 out of 50.
Yeah.
And if you just want to say, we get a bazillion applicants, we need to arbitrarily cut the field down to 50, that's fine. Just say that. Some of those questions, I think the answers are really sketchy. And also the idea that the answers on those tests are at all correlated to what makes someone a good game designer is nonsense. So
there you go.
If the actual, now that they're down to like 10 or 9, whatever the number of people is, I heard the last round was actually, the feedback was pretty interesting, and some of the designs that were submitted were cool. I'll probably re-engage with it now, but I was really turned off by that multiple choice test.
Fair enough. There you go. There's your answer to your question, Ben. They fixed it. Some fake duresses have been cast.
Yeah.
So let's go watch that game again now. There we go. Come on, Storm, bro.
Yeah, the new rule is you get to Cabal Therapy your opponent, but you can only pick cards that start with a vowel or something. And then, and then play proceeds.
That's exactly how it works. Yes, you've nailed it once again. Here's a Lightning Helix strategy. See how this goes. A remand on the Lightning Helix. Must mean Paul's hand's not particularly good.
Yeah, that's just a remand to cycle with no other utility.
No.
So. Might mean he's at risk of missing a critical land drop, because you could still just wait, even if you wanted to cycle. So there has to be something kind of immediately compelling him to want to do that.
Shivan Reef is land number 4 here for Paul. He'll pass the turn back over to Sean, who will now fire off an Electrolyze.
Window here for Muller to resolve the gifts, if he has it.
It'd be a good time to do so. Doesn't look like he has one, though. So we'll go back over to Sean. The one thing about Paul in this matchup is Sean's going to play an untapped Steam Vents to fall down to 18. Paul's got a lot of time to work with.
Yes.
So that's the nice thing, is he can kind of twiddle his thumbs a little bit, build up the perfect hand, and try to work through all of the permission that Sean may have put together.
And it's not like Sean has all the permission in the world. Paul doesn't necessarily know that, but if he saw the deck list, he would have to feel pretty comfortable about the amount of time that he has available.
Though Sean is starting to act like a little bit of a burn deck here, as a Lightning Bolt is going to bring Paul down to 11. Lightning Helix will be remanded yet again. And back over to Sean, who's picked up a copy of Serum Visions. He'll cast that, draw a card, scry 2.
Put some pressure on Paul to move sooner rather than later, even if it's he's a long way from getting burned out, because the Colonnade on Mogelgaard side of the table here will allow him to close out the game if Muller falls down to 4. There's no interaction in Muller's deck for it, really, so. Hard for this deck to burn someone out from 20, but Sean doesn't need to do all that work.
Spiral of Canal will enter the battlefield tap, pass the turn back. All right, Snapcaster Mage looking to recast Lightning Bolt. Bang! Paul's down to 8. Maybe he doesn't have as much time as he thought.
Yep, Snapcaster Mage, if that hits, that brings him down to 6. He knows there's a Helix in hand.
There it is, down to 6. Paul, you better do something, buddy.
Yeah, Paul's got to go.
All right, Paul's reaching for mana now. He's got that tapped island. Okay, he's reaching for dice now. A lot of dice. The Tarmo die for who knows what reason.
Yeah.
He's built a little fort. He does not want the Tarmo die. He'd like a different die. All right, Pyretic Ritual, spell 1.
And Mogelgaard asking how many cards in hand, and Muller's hand I think is 7 or 8.
Yeah.
A lot to work with.
Yep. Lightning Helix you. Okay. Lightning Bolt you. Well, none of this matters now. You are dead. Sean Mogelgaard. Gonna win game number 1 here over Paul Muller. Jeskai Control gonna kind of steal game number 1 here from Blue-Red Giftstorm. Traditionally a pretty tough matchup for Jeskai. Maybe things get a little bit easier after sideboard. We will find out in just a moment. But first, you know the drill.
Yeah. Talk to him.
Game number 2 about to be underway here between Sean Mogelgaard and Paul Muller. It's Jeskai Control versus Blue-Red Giftstorm. Paul lost game 1, so we start with him and his 4 pieces of the puzzle. 2 bolts, 2 Empty the Warrens, and a bunch of one-ups here in Shattering Spree, Giga Drowse, Engineer Explosives, Wipe Away. Sean of Torch of Defiance, that's a new one, along with a Braid and Echoing Truth.
I think this is a great matchup for pieces of the puzzle. Just try to, the game's going to go on for a long time. Try to generate more cards to work with. I like the Giga Drowse as a way to fight a deck that's probably bringing in counter spells, and Chandra seems very good here. Mogelgaard can't necessarily get off the battlefield very easily, and that's a card with a lot of dimensions to it if it resolves.
Go to Sean's side. He stole game number 1. He's got 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Celestial Purge, 2 Vendilion Click, 2 Dispel. He's got 7 1-ofs in Baneslayer Angel, Detention Sphere, Settle the Wreckage, Engineer Explosives, Anger the Gods, Negate, and what did Jody Keith call this one?
There's the girl.
There's the girl. Elspeth Sun's champion.
The counter spells here, Negate and 2 Dispels. Love the 2 Vendilion Clicks and the Damping Spheres.
You know, I haven't seen a Damping Sphere be cast yet in Modern. I'm still waiting. There's a lot of hype around how good this card is, the sideboard card. I still haven't seen one cast.
Well, this is supposed to be Exhibit A right here, so we'll see.
Someone want to see it in action already. Let's see. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces just 1 instead of any other type and amount. And each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn.
That's just a natural design.
Yeah?
That references 2 things. That's an uncommon. That references 2 things that happen all the time.
It's perfect design. That's what that is.
It's shocked that one wasn't an alpha. But sometimes you have to make some heavy-handed cards for your Eternal formats. It's fine.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
At least it's not a rare.
Well, I think it's a really weird uncommon.
Well, as someone who was and I want to make sure we get this right. You were really going to town on Tactile Honor Guard yesterday, being a rare. If I open a Damning Experience as my first rare,
yeah, it's not.
I'm out.
Well, the fact that it's a bizarre uncommon and a depressing rare that says something. Like I said, you gotta do some amount of it. You know, your constructed format. You feel like your constructed format needs it. Your constructed format needs it.
There you go. All right, Paul, take a look at his opener.
The heavens did not open up and present that design to someone.
Are you sure? How sure are you about that?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Paul's not. It's not going great here. Looks like he's headed down to 5 cards. That's not a lot of cards.
Pretty rough so far, you know. It's, resolve the op wrong, get a judge call, come over, get bolted out from 20 against a deck with main deck timely reinforcements. Game 2, mull to 5.
Great time to take a question from the Jackals. Mike Sorrentino would like to know, for Patrick, definitely not for me, what's the best music from the state of New Jersey?
Historically or present?
Historically, I imagine.
Historically, Bruce Springsteen. Present, active bands, screaming females.
Okay.
That's
Look
my
at
answer.
you fire off. The boss is from Jersey?
Are you kidding me?
I don't know anything.
He's the most stereotypical, all the desperation on the freeway. I'm a blue-collar guy with some blue-collar thoughts about things, but really deep down, I'm like emotionally deep. All that stuff is the most stereotypical New Jersey artist kind of stuff.
Got it. See, I'm learning. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Paul will play a snow-covered island, pass the turn back over to Sean.
Yeah, there's a reason that people from New Jersey are so emotional and passionate about Springsteen. Because he's one of ours, both that he's from there and the nature of his work really resonates with the residents of the state.
Do you fall into this camp as being emotional about Springsteen?
Definitely.
Okay. Then I won't. I don't know enough about Bruce Springsteen to bash on him. Plus, his music's probably good.
Yep, some great albums.
Probably good, yeah.
Remember the Invitational in Las Vegas when I was kind of burned out and the Invitational ended and I got into my car and just sped back through the desert?
I'll never forget it.
Like tires peeling out, drove back to Los Angeles.
Didn't even say bye, just left.
The Nebraska album was on loop the whole drive back.
Okay.
This is most depressing work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Steam Vent's untapped here for Sean. We'll head back over to Paul. Here's a Vendilion click in the draw step. Piece of the puzzle, repeal, Grape Shot, Empty the Warrens, and a Shivan Reef.
The Empty the Warrens is going to be the swing card in this hand because depending on how Mogelgaard sideboarded, that Empty the Warrens is either deeply problematic or trivial to answer.
Yes.
If he's got some sweeper there, even if he has Secure the Waste, that might be enough to fight it given the texture of Muller's hand not being really that storm enabling. So we'll see how Mogelgaard sideboarded. Usually people leave themselves a little bit of cushion against Empty the Warrens. You leave in a Supreme Verdict or two to be able to fight it. And if Mogelgaard can answer it easily, then Muller's hand's quite bad, especially now losing his source of card advantage post-mulligan to 5 and pieces of the puzzle.
Here is the Serum Visions. Draw a card, scry 2. See where Paul wants to go with this scry. He's going to leave them both on top, apparently. Okay. Does he want a Grape Shot away this Vendilion click is my question. Uh-oh. What?
If you get out the token and the mana counters, and all this is a Grape Shot for 2.
Yeah. Hey, 2 spells. 2 spells cast. There we go. Yeah, this would be great if it's just Grape Shot for 3. You're up. Manamorphose. Okay. Draw a card. Pyretic Ritual.
Oh, we might be going. We might be doing the thing here.
10 Knuckleheads. All right, well, Sean, we're going to find out if you got anything to beat this right now.
Yep.
That's what that is.
I assume that Sean does because it would have been very easy for him to just take away the empty from the Vendilion Click.
It's true.
And it wasn't like he took away a combo piece. He just took another card drawer. So I assume he has a response. But we will find out in a moment. A lot of things. Supreme Verdict and explosives.
Otherwise, this will be awkward.
Yeah.
Okay, there I am, 10 of me. We're going to ride to victory or we're going to get destroyed? I don't see a lot of answers in that hand right now. Here's an attack for 3. Serum Visions, draw. Scry, 2.
So the scry will be a lot of information because he's dead on board next turn. So if he's scrying to the top, he means he has a way out of this.
All right. He left on top. Let's head back over to Paul, who will draw. Tenya, you're at 7. Pass the turn. Get him, goblins. Attack. All right, what'd you leave on top? Verdict. Okay.
Although, well, Muller's still with the copy of Grape Shot in hand, and he softens Sean up a little bit, at least. So the game's not over.
Be a sweet spot for Unsubstantiate. Just saying.
Yo, yeah.
He's going to repeal one of the tokens. Nice. Love it. All right. Creatures down. Paul going to tap and take a draw step. Got in a good hit for 10. Putting Sean in range of the old Grape Shot here. Two mana. Baral, Chief of Compliance. That'll resolve, and we'll go over to Sean, who will sacrifice his fetch land.
This is not a trivial sacrifice, though. If he needs to get a tapped Ravnica duel, that's fine. But going from 7 to 6 when your opponent is still maybe able to Grape Shot you out without having to fully go off, that's a big price to pay.
Every point matters right now.
Yeah.
That'd be a basic mountain off that Scalding Tarn. Bzz. Remand. And draw a card from Remand, and then trigger Baral. Draw, discard. Baral, a little too good for Brawl, but plenty fine for Modern.
Yeah. I did not play any Brawl, but my understanding was Brawl was problematic.
Yeah, a little too good in that format. Yeah.
Well, some of it is too good, and then some of it is just what does a cheap and powerful legend do to the format? Mm-hmm. The rules are such that you always have it on turn 2. You don't have to play with other 2-mana cards. The games play out the same way over and over again. So
makes it a worse play experience.
Yeah. Brawl is not dead. Not yet.
Now it is.
To your sealed spectacular match at table 263.
Vendilion Click is back. And I think it wants a Grape Shot. But it's got to look at pieces of the puzzle. Grape Shot, I believe, passed in flames in a land.
Yeah. It's the same deal as before, where if you can afford to take pieces of the puzzle because the other pieces don't matter, great, do that. But Grape Shot and Pass in Flames are both pretty threatening cards. Mogelgaard's hand is looks like at least one Logic Knot in there. Be interested to see if you can not die to this Grape Shot and cover yourself from the leftovers the following turn. Then getting rid of pieces of the puzzle is really nice, because Muller probably has to have several good draw steps in a row to be able to cobble together the tools that he needs, and pieces of the puzzle is his best path of doing that.
Well, there's a Shivan Reef. There's the Grape Shot. I think you just have to kill the Vendilion Click.
Yeah.
It's too much pressure. So that's exactly what Paul will do.
And Muller, if he's able to chain together enough mana here, he can always pass in Flames and Grape Shot out of the graveyard to win.
Yep, very true. Celestial Colonnade. There's an island for Paul. Sleight of hand. See Paul point at that. Yeah, he's going to take it a little slow now. One in hand, one to the bottom. Let's see what this is. Maybe pieces to the puzzle. Yep.
So now Sean knows the last card left is Pass in Flames.
Yep, so that's an easy one to Cryptic Command. Sean will play an island. Picked up a copy of Lightning Helix. Is he maybe thinking about firing up the old colony? That's a risky business.
Well, I think he has Logic Knot in hand, and if you can fight over the Pass in Flames next turn, try to close this game out.
All right, in for 4. Paul down to 8. Gonna go for Pass in Flames now. And you spoke of the Logic Knot, and here it comes. Exile a whole bunch of cards. Sparbow Canal win a battlefield tapped. We'll head back over to Sean. It's 8-5 in favor of Mogelgaard. He might be thinking Colonnade again here, folks.
But if he's out of counter spells, Muller might be drawing to a ritual effect next turn to be able to go. He's only got 7 mana, so he can't Pass in Flames and then start rolling.
Well, he does have a copy of Dispel in hand, does Sean?
Oh, well, then that might be the check mark.
Mm-hmm. Colonnade's coming in. Vroom. Put him down to 4. With Dispel as the only piece of interaction. Paul will draw. Looks like we're going to see a flashback on Pass in Flames. Uh-huh. And now you're going to cast a ritual. And I'm going to dispel that ritual. And you are going to die. Sean Mogelgaard going to win this match here over Paul Muller. 2-0. Jeskai controlling enough over Blue-Red Gift Storm to allow Sean to move up to 10-2 and knock Paul down to 9-3. Maybe